I get so many amazing opportunities that happen in my life. And most people get, this is going to change my life forever. Maybe it will. I don't ever look at things like that. And if it doesn't happen, I'm never disappointed because guess what? I didn't have it.
Right.
So if it doesn't happen, I didn't lose anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like a lot of people don't look at life in this perspective, so they let down a lot.
They get bitter.
Yeah, from these opportunities, or, you know, look at what's happened to me. And the reason I'm able to do that now is because I put that to practice and put the work in from the trauma I went through as a kid to not allow it to seep into me being an adult, which then turns into how I built my life by design and not by circumstance.
Yo, welcome to another episode of the Founder Podcast. Today, I am joined by Mr. Clinton Sparks, a goofball.
Let's go, guys. We got anybody here? What are we doing here?
So Clinton is just like and done all kinds of crazy things. I don't know if I could even go through your whole bio, like Grammy nominee.
Correct.
Done like a high-end DJ. He's in gaming world, literally knows everybody. International speaker, author?
Yes.
Author as well. Man, dude.
Father.
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 Most importantly.
Yes.
Most importantly.
To the children of my home.
Yes. I love it. I love it. How many kids?
3 kids, 2, 4, and 19.
It's beautiful. And married to the same woman.
Not the 19-year-old one,
Yeah.
but the same woman for the 2 and the 4.
Dude,
yeah.
that's freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, and all 3 of them are with me. So it's not like it's separated.
Come on, my guy.
I get familiar.
Oh man.
And when I decided to be a dad, I was committed.
I love it. I love it. Nothing that I appreciate more than a good family guy.
Likewise.
Right?
And I mean that's how we started to bond. We met each other at a conference. We were back in the green room, and I kind of keep to myself a lot. And I see that you were eager to meet new people. You were scanning the room, like who's cool here? Who should I know? Like feeling myself out. And I could see that in you. So I went over and started talking to you, and I could see that you were a real genuine dude. And we started talking about our families. Like, I like this guy. Anybody that talks about their kids in places where nobody would really talk about their kids, I become a fan of.
I appreciate that, man. It's what life is really about, right? Like raising these being a father is so crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have sex with your wife, and often, and somehow this little thing is born inside, or is created inside of her, and you get to raise that creation, which is just unbelievable.
It's also risky. It's also a lot of responsibility.
What has been the hardest thing about being a dad?
I don't think I've ever had I don't have any hard things that I remember or that still stay with me, because again, I've always wanted to be a dad. So since my dad left when I was young, so I always had the aspiration to become a great dad one day.
Tell us more about that. So your dad left. How old were you?
Maybe 4, I think. Yeah.
And so you grew up without a father figure?
Yeah. My mom was a single mom, worked 2-3 jobs. We were broke, broke, welfare broke, roaches broke, in Boston.
Okay.
Born and raised in Boston, Mass, from a town called Dorchester.
Still carry a nice little Boston accent.
Yeah, of course. I'm starving right now. So that was that, was bullied, alcoholic father, was sexually abused for many years when I was young. From a guy that was in my house. And look, everybody has a story, right? Yeah. Everybody went through some trauma, some tough times, and whatever's tough for different people, that's tough for them, right? We all have different versions of what bothered us.
So how did you handle that when, you don't
when he was coming in my room at night?
No. like just mentally on a day-to-day basis. Like
back then, or as an adult?
Just as a child, like, did you blank it out? Like, I mean, how? Like, I can't even imagine, because I grew up in a pretty awesome family, strong mother, strong father, right? And so, like, me hearing stories like this, like, it's baffling. Like, I don't even know how to totally conceive that. So like how did you make it through the day, or or what are some lessons that you took from it? I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like when you're in the middle, I'll use a good example. You don't know you're making history while you're making it, right? So it's the same thing like when you're going through bad times, when you're trying to survive and you're figuring out life at such a young age, and you're broke, and everybody else around you's in the same situation you are, you don't really realize how bad it is until you get older and you can look back at it.
You kind of assume everybody's going through the same thing.
Yeah, and you don't, you're too young. We can have a whole conversation just about, the traumatic effect of sexual abuse and why people don't want to tell other people, or why, victims don't even want to share stuff with you because, I don't even talk to my family. My mother and father and my sister, we don't talk because of their denial of what I went through, or, so I've been victimized twice because, I was a victim as a kid. Then as I got older, and I've never been traumatized to the point that I needed like therapy, or it affected me being happy or building the life that I wanted to build. And I'll get into the life that I built by design, not by circumstance. But it's not something that I carry around with me or has been an issue for me whatsoever. But when I got older, you get an adult mind that thinks about things differently than you would have thought about it as a kid. Yeah. So you look back at things from a new perspective and say, well, that's weird. I never thought about that before. I wonder, right? Or how come? So, I had went to my mom. I said, look, I'm not mad. I'm not trying to blame you for anything. There's just some unanswered questions that only you have the answer to. And if you give them to me, I'll never have to think about them ever again. I can completely move on. And, some people aren't good at giving answers. Or don't want to give answers, or they're in denial. And I think a lot of times people get stuck in moving forward in life and finding happiness or success and building the life they want because they're continuously looking for answers that they'll never get. Whether people don't want to give them to them, or they're not able to be given because the people are dead, or you don't know who the people are you get the answers for, or there's just not an answer to be given to you. And then people for the rest of their lives, like, why did this happen? Or how come this? And it's like, and therefore they can't move on. And they use the reason they use not having those answers as excuses for why they're not happy or they're successful. I knew early on by looking at drunks around me or, hurt people very early, I realized, and going back to people looking for answers, the answers are given to you every day. Every answer you need for everything that you question in life is being said to you every day if you just shut up and listen. Right. The problem is most people don't listen to the world. If you want to know how to treat a girl, listen to how women say they don't like being treated, right? If you want to know how to be a good employee, listen to bosses complain about what they don't like about people they employ. The answers are there. Right. You're just not listening. So when I was young, I was very analytical and I assessed everything around me, even the abuser when I was young. And I would think, what happened to him that made him become the guy that does this to people like me?
Did you feel sorry for him?
I wouldn't say I felt sorry for him. I felt, I don't know what I felt for him. I didn't really feel anything. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel, no, it happened. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. Something's up with this guy. I'm not going to hold on to something that I didn't do. If anyone there should be a problem for anybody, it should be the person that did it. Right. That looks back and thinks, I did this to a young kid and stole his childhood from him. I'm not going to sit and be like, why did this happen to me? Because there's no answer. The real answer is because there was a predator in my home and nobody was there to protect me. Case closed. That's the answer. You know what I mean? So like, where else do you go from there? Now you learn to move on or forget about it.
Well, first off, I applaud you for, one, sharing your story. Two, becoming the person who you are in spite of everything that took place. It's interesting. I heard the story the other day about two brothers. They were in their 40s. One was a successful businessman. One was in prison. Yeah. And have you heard the story before? Yep. Mm-hmm. Where they were both asked why, right? Like, why were you able to do this? And they had the same exact answer, right? It was because this happened to me as a kid, and this happened to me, and this happened to me. And so, like, really, you're a testament of, no matter what happens, it's about the way that we respond and can build off of it. And, I applaud, the fact that, first of all, sorry that you had to go through all that. But second, like...
Did you have something to do with it?
No, but I just feel, as a friend, I appreciate it. It hurts my heart knowing that, any kid would have to experience that.
It's funny, it's more common than you would think.
Right.
I meet so many men that have had experience with sexual abuse or, abuse, physical abuse.
It's some crazy number. I heard it's like 15 or 20%.
I forget the percentage. That's even higher than that. And it's like one out of every 3 dudes, like my age. Wow. And it's like, it's nuts, in back then, we also didn't have the internet, so we weren't aware of things like we are now. And
it was hush hush. People didn't talk about it.
People were ashamed. People were embarrassed, and you didn't know who to tell. Like now, there's hotlines, there's websites. You're like, if this is going on, report this to this person. Back then, you're in the world alone. Right. If you don't have the fortunate, loving parents, like it sounds like you had, you're on your own. Your parents are also against you when you're a kid. Get your schoolwork done, do this thing, or hitting you and spanking you. And, my life, as I get older and the more I think about it, because I used to downplay it, like, everyone has a bad story. It's not that big of a deal, or I'm okay, right. So it couldn't be that bad, right? But as I get older, I look back, and it was recent, and I'm like, man, I was in a war. Like in my life, I was literally, whether it was the bullies walking to school that would beat me up and take the welfare, take whatever the money is that you get.
Lunch money?
Not, yeah, but it's government money.
Oh, food stamps?
Food stamps, yeah. Take the food stamps out of my pocket, punch me and push me in a bush. Yeah. Or like, kids at school that would pick on me, or then I'm getting, abused at home, and then, parenting, the way that they discipline you, and sometimes there's a paddle involved. You're looking at all these things, and you're just like, and at the time, it's just your normal life.
Right.
You don't realize there's a better life, right. Or these are all wrong, because it's all you know. And then when you get older, I think that's the breaking point for people, is once they recognize, it's like coming up out of the water and then looking and saying, oh, there's a sun and there's beautiful things. And then you like start feeling bad for yourself that all these things happened when this beautiful world existed the whole time. And I think if people can just realize it's not their fault and let it go and move on and say, wow. I'll give you a perfect example of how easy I'm able to let go of things. I learned how to play racquetball. So I'm going to Planet Fitness just waiting for guys to show up. I'm like, want to play?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm in there just getting better and getting better. And then I played with this guy one day, and I don't wear goggles. I didn't know goggles were it's like a jock strap. Like,
right.
How many played baseball? I never wore a jock strap, right? So so I hit the ball, boom, off the wall, hits it back. I learn, he hits it, I turn around, shoom, right into my eye. I hit the ground. I literally audibly say, please don't go blind, please don't go blind, please don't go blind. Because I'm thinking, that hit me so hard, there's no way I'm not blind now.
It hurts so bad.
Right? It was, man, it was excruciating pain. So as I'm down there, the guy happened to be a nurse. He goes, oh man, you probably just went blind, right? And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, this is the #1 injury that causes people to go blind in racquetballs, getting hit in the eye. And I was like, are you shitting me? And then he goes, yeah, you got to go to the doctor right now. So I get up and I kind of just, and it's like, it hurts so bad. My eyes like shut. So I go to the car and I call my wife. I go, hey, meet me in the hospital. I think I just went blind in my left eye. She goes, what? Oh my God. I go, don't worry about it. Just meet me there. So I go there. The doctor says, yeah, you probably went blind. You probably tore your retina. There's too much blood back there to see, but the odds are you tore your retina. And I'm like, ugh. So I go home.
How old are you at this point?
This is, I don't know, 4 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
And then, so I literally go home and I sit on my couch and I make an Instagram story about the benefits of having one eye. So I do the top 5 things of, I'll always be able to aim a gun quickly. I can like a collapsible like telescope thing. I can look out or check the door. So like no one believed I was really injured because I'm making light of it. And the reason I did it wasn't for attention, wasn't to pretend like it didn't bother me. I didn't think, oh my God, I have one eye now. What I immediately thought was, this is awesome. I've had 2 eyes for this long, right? And that's how I've trained my brain to look at things. Like I get so many amazing opportunities that happen in my life. And most people get, this is going to change my life forever. Maybe it will. You know what I mean? I don't ever look at things like that. And if it doesn't happen, I'm never disappointed because guess what? I didn't have it.
Right.
So if it doesn't happen, I didn't lose anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like a lot of people don't look at life in this perspective, so they let down a lot.
They get bitter.
Yeah, from these opportunities, or, you know, look at what's happened to me. And the reason I'm able to do that now is because I put that to practice and put the work in from the trauma I went through as a kid to not allow it to seep into me being an adult, which then turns into how I built my life by design and not by circumstance. So when I'm young and I see all these people around me complaining, adults complaining about they hate their life or they're drinking, and you wonder why do they drink? Oh, because they hate their life. Oh, because their dad beat them. Because they're not happy with their marriage. And I'm like, man, this can't be life.
Right.
I just went through the biggest shit you can go through. I'm not gonna go now live that shitty life.
Right.
So
how old are you when you have this realization?
About 12.
12.
Yeah.
Okay. So at 12, you're like starting to say, okay, I'm going to live a different life.
Yeah. So it was about 10 that I really started recognizing and paying attention to humans and how they psychologically, how they treat each other, how they act, how they respond. Because I was around a lot of alcoholism. Yeah. I was around a lot of I'm in the hood. Yeah. Right. So
where were we at? This was in Boston?
Yeah, in Boston. So
okay.
yeah, I grew up in the hood.
Okay.
Yeah, not the outskirts, the hood. Okay. Right. So if you ask
someone, we're talking the Compton of Boston.
Yeah, if you ask someone Dorchester, even now it's still bad, but back then it was worse, right? And the other thing too is it was very segregated. It was this is the black side, this is the white side, and I was part of both, right? So it was just I didn't know who I was supposed to be as a kid. I'm too white for the black kids, too black for the white kids. I just didn't make any sense, right? And I didn't know who I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to do, how to defend myself, how to talk to a girl. I don't know. And nobody was telling me. And my mom worked too much. She was busy making sure we had a roof over our head and food. So I realized that most people weren't happy, and I didn't want to grow up and not be happy. Yeah. And I always had this dream. The two things at 12 years old that I only cared about for the rest of my life it wasn't making a lot of money. It wasn't, most people, I want to be rich. I want to be famous. I wanted to make people happy, and I wanted to be an awesome dad one day. That's all I cared about.
You wanted to be everything opposite of how you were raised.
Yeah. Look, if you know what you don't like, or how to be treated, or how you don't like to feel, then there's the remedy. Yeah. There's the formula of how you should treat the rest of the world. When someone talks to you like how it made you feel, don't talk to somebody like that. And it's just such a simple, life is easy, people make it hard. And I don't understand why people struggle so much with building the life that they want. And most people will say, well, it's easy for you to say, because no, it's not easy for me to say, because if you know my whole story, I did it with intention and I built it by design. I don't let the circumstances of my life decide or dictate who I'm going to be, what I'm going to be, or how I'm going to treat other people.
So you make this decision at 12, and what were some initial things that you did to start designing your life?
A lot. But the first was, okay, I've already became a criminal. So when I was 10, I already started. I broke into my first house at 10.
Wow. Yeah, what were you getting?
At that time, I
Drugs,
just wanted
money?
Batteries for my video game.
Oh, wow.
Right? But then it grew up, all my teenage years, I was a criminal. So I did B&Es, breaking and entering, for those not from Boston. It's a popular term in Boston.
Wow, yeah, I've never heard that term before.
Stole cars, just a bunch of stuff that I'd get arrested a lot for, which was, by the way, was probably the best thing that ever happened in my life, because by being a criminal, it made my mom get sick of picking me up from the police station and sent me to my dad at 15 in the suburbs of the city. Completely culture shock of I never even knew families lived like that. I didn't even know, a mom drives a kid to football practice, a dad owns a construction company, that's a real world? I don't know that world. So now, and then also back then, this is 88, there wasn't the suburb that I lived, it was a Jewish town that I moved to. And there was, back then, you would call white dudes that listen to heavy metal headbangers, right? Yes. or hicks, right? And then I was what you would call a wannabe back then, because I was very hip hop, right? As a white kid. Right. So they didn't like each other. Right? Well, I liked everybody, but typically the black kids didn't like the headbangers didn't like the black kids, or white kids that acted like them. Like even the cops would beat me up more because I listen to hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So it was just so many dynamics of my life is just so crazy, and who am I supposed to be? So when I moved out there to the suburbs, it was the best year of my life, because it gave me a whole new perspective of the world that I didn't understand. That I think that was probably, all of the things are a culmination of, additives that created the ingredients that made me who I am. But that if I never moved to the suburbs with my dad at 15 because of my mom, because of being a criminal, so there's something good always comes out of something bad, right? And I would have never became who I became. And I've always, growing up, was the one kid in my lunchroom that would sit at the black kids table, at the headbangers table, at the jocks table, at the ESL table, at the kids that are downstairs all day. You don't even know what they do until you see them at lunch table. Like, I was the one that sat at every table, because younger too, and I'm going to add more to, like, man, this dude's been through so much.
No, I'm loving it.
When I was young, my mother had a bunch of lesbians and gay dudes that would live with us, right? So now I'm exposed to that in single digits. So the reason I say that is because one was like a cross-dresser, so I'm exposed to that. So like, wow. I'm experiencing everything the world has to offer before I'm even 10.
Jeez.
Therefore, the world in its entirety is all normal to me, right? So there's nothing weird, or like, I don't understand those people, or why do they do that? Which is what creates racism. It's really just an ignorance of understanding somebody, right? Or any other kind of thing that causes that. Once you understand people, you're like, oh, they're just like me. They just have a different this or different that. It's like, and back to the high school, when I'm in the cafeteria, I'm the guy sitting here like, oh, you play Dungeons and Dragons? Oh shit, so does the quarterback. Let me connect you guys. Oh, you do this and da-da. Oh, you listen to this person? Like, everybody's the same. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants an opportunity. We all just might wear different clothes, have different color skin, come from a different area, but like, we all basically want the same things, and we all need the same things: food, air, water, like all that thing. It's just like, if people just learn to understand each other more, care, then the whole world would get along more. And I realized that at a very young age, and because I understood everybody at a young age, everything I do includes and cares for everybody, even the thing that we're talking about now.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So you go and you make the shift. You're out in the suburbs. You start building your life. At what point do you leave the home and like start doing it on your own?
So at 12, I started my first legit company. It was called, forget the name, but it was a company that, because it's a weird name from now, in the 80s it made sense.
What was the name?
It was called Rent-A-Teen.
That is not flying today.
Right. But what it was you could rent. So I had like a whole bunch of teenagers on my team that you could hire them to shovel your driveway or take out your trash, clean your house, go to the store for you. So I would charge, say, $20 to shovel your driveway, and then I'd take $5 and pay them $15. So I started doing that at 12.
Nice.
Just started realizing,
making a little cut. Yeah.
Well, understanding,
leveraging.
Totally understanding, how to manage, understanding how to find quality people, understanding how to market, understanding how to sell, all that stuff pretty early on. But I was kind of already understanding that as a criminal. You know what I mean? So like, all right, you need a VCR, you need a TV, you need a video camera.
It's interesting. So my background's in sales and marketing, right? I did the School of Hard Knocks, knocking doors and things like that. And there's several philosophies that I've developed over time. And a lot of times criminals or people that have street smarts that have recovered are the best salespeople on earth, because they learn these things at just out of necessity.
Yeah, it was instinctual. So you understand. Look, if you're a salesperson, the number one rule is you're never selling a product. You're never selling a service. You're always and forever will be selling a feeling. Yeah. And if you understand what people need to feel or need to fill, then you can almost sell anything to anybody. The danger in that is American greed. Right. Yeah, so but like you said, a rehabilitated criminal that now uses it for good is not only just now has the gift of gab or understands people, but also came from this world and understands how you think and what you need. And I've never
psychology,
I've never been anybody. Look, I sold Kirby vacuum cleaners.
Yes.
I've done sales my whole high school too. I used to sell mattresses and all type. I've done a million things because I just wanted to learn and understand the world and people in it. But yeah, so as I was growing up selling all these things, you start learning more about people and what they need, and that's how I've been able to build the successful businesses I've built throughout my life. Because when I do it, it's never a transactional thing. It's never like, how can I make a shit ton of money?
Right.
I always lead with, how can I build something great? Because money follows great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you actually care and you're building something great that means something and helps people, then people are going to want to be a part of that, including the money. And I realized even early, all the guys with money want to be down with cool, right? And cool wants to be down with the guys with money.
Right.
So when I was making music, in my bedroom, starting off just doing it out of a passion. And I realized like, wow, I can turn this into a business because those guys all want to be down with what I'm able to provide. And then all the guys I'm down with over here all want to know them. Right. So I've always been the bridge between like Wall Street and the street.
Yeah. Or
like MTV and BET. Like even when I was a host on E! News for like 5 years, prior to everybody kind of getting along, I was friends with 50 Cent. I know he thinks Paris Hilton is cool and what they're doing in Hollywood is cool. I know Paris Hilton. I know she thinks 50 Cent's mysterious and dangerous and cool, and I want to be down with him. I know that about these people, and I've always been the middle guy that would connect
the connector,
people, put them together, but not just say you guys should know each other. Here's why, and here's what you can do, and here's how we can create something great together that expands past both just you guys. And like it starts back in high school at the tables.
Yeah.
And I've always been that person.
So you developed these incredible skills. Like what point was like your biggest break that got you into the music industry? Because like obviously you built the skills of selling and developing and trying new things and educating and whatnot. But like what would you say was like, oh, that was the point, like kind of the big turning point of my career?
I don't know. I get that question a lot. And I think my life is a series of just doing dope stuff. Right. And
what's the earliest age after high school, or what was the earliest memory of doing something dope?
Okay, so it depends who you're talking to, because I did some dope thievery. So I guess I would say the first kind of professional leveling up step into getting into the actual business, music business, was when I was in my bedroom making remixes to popular songs. And I became friends with the popular radio DJ in my city. And I would hear him tell record labels about this guy, Clinton Sparks. You should listen to his remixes.
And you were how old?
I might have been 19 or 20.
Yeah, just fresh out. So I'm assuming you didn't go to college.
I didn't go to college, no. And then I didn't even graduate high school. I didn't get my diploma. I went back and paid for it. It's a whole nother story. After a couple of years of success, I go back and go, guys, I did pretty good.
Just give me a high school diploma.
And they're like, all right, give us $150, we'll give you a diploma. I go, there's no way I'm not the most successful person from this school, right? So anyways, so he would play them my remixes and they'd be like, yeah, cool. Hey, you're going to play my records. So I'm like, what do I got to do to make them want to hear my remixes? So I was a DJ in my bedroom. So I was like, I'm just going to make myself a DJ on radio, and then they'll want to be my friend. And then out of courtesy, they'll listen to what I have to offer. So I heard a mix on the radio on Sunday nights, and I knew it wasn't my friend. I'm like, what is that? It's not you. What is that? He goes, it's a syndication company. We just, distribute it and play it on our station. I was like, what's that about? So I found out that distribution company was called Super Radio, and they syndicate through the whole country. So I kept pounding them.
So you just reach out.
I'm the guy.
I mean, phone calls.
I'm
showing up?
I'm mailing CDs to them of my
never
mixes.
Physically showing up.
No, because I didn't know whether,
right.
I didn't know anybody
there. Was
there.
No real internet.
Yeah, it was, there's no internet. It was just, you had to. So then finally I drive. I find out that it's only like 2 hours from me. So I drive there and I show up unexpected. And the guy who's in charge happened to be in the lobby when I showed up. And I was like, I'm here to see so-and-so. And he's like, that's me. And I tell him that I'm here to see him. He goes, do you have an appointment? I go, no. And then, I was persuasive, and he goes, all right, we'll sit here, I'll get to you when I get a chance. I sat there like 5 hours. It was the end of the day. You could tell he forgot about me because he was getting ready to leave. He's like, all right, see you later, to the receptionist. And out of the corner of his eye, he remembered I was there. And he's like, oh, hey man, you got a CD or anything you can leave? And I said, let me tell you what, man, if you give me 5 minutes of your time, you're going to find a champion without looking, or I'm never going to bother you again. Both are winning situations for you. So he's like, all right. So we go into his office and he plays it. You know when someone's turned and you can see their smile from behind?
Yes.
So he did one of those. I was like, got him. But then he got rid of the smile, turned back around. I was like, this is you? I was like, yep. And he goes, interesting. I go, if you skip a track or two, you can hear some original remixes I did too. So he plays those. He goes, this is you too? And I go, yeah. And now he couldn't hide. So he
Big
goes,
smile.
He goes, this is incredible. He goes, how come we've never heard of you before? I go, maybe you didn't open your mail, right? And then he goes, all right, well, yeah, let me go talk to the owner, and we'll get back to you. The next day, the owner called me and says, hey, we love what you're doing. We want to bring you on here. We want to give you your own syndicated show. And on top of that, we don't pay our DJs. We want to pay you. So that was my first all right, I'm meant to do this kind of stuff.
And you were 19 or 20 at this time?
Yeah, about 20.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big break, right? But it wasn't just like, hey, someone gave it to you, right? You went out and got it.
Yeah, I worked for a year to solicit myself, and then I went and
And obviously you had the product to solicit with, right?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too that a lot of people don't do is like, a lot of people rely on the thing that they're building to make them valuable or to make them dope.
Mm-hmm.
I focus on making me dope. So whatever I do is going to be dope because now I'm a part of it. Right. So I've done that. And that's not just like a pompous opinion of myself. That was really me understanding what it takes to be dope. And it's not just my talent of what I put on that CD. It's my communication. It's my follow-up. It's how I treat people. It's how I talk to people. So your reputation. And a lot of people don't think about that. They think about, if I build this giant business, I'm going to make a lot of money. So now everybody's going to ball suck me and think I'm the man because I got a lot of money and I built this powerful thing.
Right.
Yeah, but if that thing collapses, you're a clown. And we all seen that you didn't really do that. It was those two guys over there. And at the end of the day, every company I've been a part of have all worked because of me. And when I left, they didn't work anymore. And it took me a while because of my childhood to realize, oh, I'm the sauce. I didn't realize that for several years because, again, I thought everybody thought like me.
Yeah.
I didn't know that my upbringing and the work that I put in built a special way of thinking and operating that not everybody subscribes to.
Right.
And like even what we talked about off the mic, like a lot of these, self-proclaimed thought leaders and life coaches and gurus out here, like they're full of it, man. Like 99% of crap, right? They got lucky on one thing and now they're out here slanging like they're the greatest executive in the world, right? And it's like, dude, but you suck at life. You don't pay your child support. Like your wife doesn't like you. Like you can't go out there and act like a he-man because you built this one business when like your marriage is failing,
right,
or your kids are in trouble, or like you got a lot of people in the streets that don't like you. Like, oh yeah, that just comes with the territory. You're gonna have haters. No, you're just a dick. You know what I mean? That got lucky with that one business.
Yeah.
So,
and to your point, anybody can get lucky, but very few can replicate that luck over and over and over again.
Where I learned that I had a special way of thinking was when I did win, repeat, win, repeat, win, repeat, win, repeat. It wasn't I got lucky once. It wasn't, okay, well, it was a fluke because these people were here, or it was timing. It was my going back to the high school. Is understanding everybody and caring about everybody, their needs, their feelings, what they're going through. And then all that I've been through in my life, I can almost relate to anybody because I've also been rich. Yeah. So I know how to relate to rich people and a rich prick who's got a dad who's at JP Morgan and he's got all this stuff because of his dad and thinks he's the man and he's now managing a rapper and he drives a Lamborghini, but none of that shit came from you, bro, right? like I know every single personality that's out here. So like even when I'm building businesses, I'm very careful of who I include or involve because their reputation now connects to what I'm building. Right. And I'm building whatever I build it based off of me. So when I leave, most people invest in companies I'm a part of that were never mine, but because I'm the guy that's selling the vision. But then what usually would happen is the CEO doesn't share that vision or that ability to communicate or care. They usually, I've recognized that most CEOs that I've had experience with, I'm starting to feel the prerequisite is to be a narcissist egomaniac, right? That's not really like in tune to culture or the youth generation or anything. They just did other things and they either failed their way to the top or they did something great maybe 20 years ago. So because of that, they got a position, but they're not really suited for it. But I'm really attentive to my friend circle is very small because, a lot of people are dicks. And I don't want to, I built a very good, solid reputation of who I am and how I treat people. And I'm careful of who I work with and who I hang out with, which is why the two people I introduced you to, like, these are great people because I wouldn't introduce you to a dick.
Well, first of all, thank you for those introductions. Second of all, thank you for spending time with me because that means a lot. I know your time's valuable and you got a bunch of different things. I mean, you drove out of your way to be here and I really appreciate that. Couple questions. So, I mean, obviously you've accomplished all these things and much to your own effort, your grind. I mean, the hustle that was portrayed in your initial break, right? So what would you say, like, two are the most things that you're most proud of that you've accomplished?
Being a great father, And
what makes you a great father?
You just made me forget my second answer, Chris.
I apologize.
It's all right. Listening, communicating, being there, being present. I don't yell at my kids. I don't punish my kids. I talk to my kids and I sort things out with my kids. I help them find the right answer for them, because what might be right for me or somebody else might not be right for them. So, even my son, for instance, my son's my best friend. He consulted me about stuff, but I never say, you should do this. I've never done that. It's always like, well, here's some options and some ideas, but you should do it your way. And people compliment me all the time when they meet him. They're like, man, you did a great job. But I look at it like, look, you can be the greatest father in the world, but your kid can still go be a drug addict and still go, do dumb stuff. And, it's really up to them to make the decision on what they want to listen to and what they're going to do once they leave your presence, right? So, all I can do is show by example, right? Like I said, listen, be present, and always be supportive. Yeah. You know what I mean? And don't push things on them. So I think that's that's the recipe of why me and my son and my two new kids.
I love that.
The second thing is, I would say, building the kind of person that I would want to be best friends with. You know what I mean? So we all think we all want to be friends with someone that, man, we believe in their values too, or their sense of humor, or how they care. So I built the kind of person I wanted to be best friends with.
And what would you say your strongest characteristics? I mean, based off of our conversation and who I know about you, you're obviously a man of diversity, inclusion, right? A man of the people. What else would you say that makes you someone that you would want to be friends with?
Actually giving a shit about whatever it is, the world, the people in it, the thing that we're working on. I'm very passionate. I don't get involved unless I actually care about it. So some people might do things because I can make a lot of money. Yeah, but it's not really what you care about. You know what I mean? So I would say my passion, my commitment and dedication to things, and my unwavering of the person I built myself to be, despite the climate or the circumstances that I'm in right now. So if I'm giving you an example, and this is good for people that sometimes will bend their morals because they need money. Yeah. Right. I wouldn't do that. Right. If we're not in the same kind of morals, then maybe your money's not right for this thing. Right. Some people will say, well, yeah, I do like this thing. Right. Because it's the right thing to say to get the money from that person. Right. But you're starting your relationship with that person inauthentic now. Because now that person thinks you're this person and you're not. I want you to like me for me. Yeah. I want you to be down with me because of me. I want us to, either we're on the same or we're not. And by the way, we don't have to be to still be friends and still do great things together. As long as we respect and understand, you believe in that, I believe in this, who cares? We both think we're each other's awesome. That's all. I'm going to support you when you do that. And you support me while I do this. And that's what makes good people and a good friendship and a good partnership. So I think my willingness to compromise and understand and accept almost any and everybody, as long as you're not a jerk that's causing harm to people.
Absolutely. What about what's your the one thing that you're most proud of in a business sense that you've been a part of?
Knowing, when you don't know me and I say this, it sounds conceited, so I have to say it differently.
No, that's right.
Knowing that I have the right answer because of experience, research, vetting out, and taking the time to thoroughly work through it. So when I come to the table with an answer, it's the right answer. Yeah. Right? It's not just my opinion based on my personal taste. It's based off of what we're trying to accomplish and my doing ample enough research or doing some case studies and adding my experience to it to realize this is why we need to do this. Yeah. And I've almost been right every time, Chris.
And so who would you say has been the most influential along your journey as far as a mentor? I mean, give me 2 or 3 just rock stars that have helped you along the way.
I've had no mentors coming up. I've had experiences that have given me the tools. And I would say being homeless was one. Being abused was another. And just, my father's absence, but also my father's temporary presence, because I looked at my dad. I built my father to be something that he actually wasn't. Mm-hmm. But in doing so, it made me follow the thing that wasn't real, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? So it taught me how to be a man by thinking he was the man that I thought that he was.
Right.
So I took that and then became that. Then when I realized, oh, he's not even that, it doesn't matter because now I'm a solid man.
Right. I'm who I wanted to be.
Yeah, exactly. So I extrapolated from what I thought was, great man qualities from him.
Awesome. So if you don't mind sharing, what's pushing and motivating you right now in the world? I know we've talked a little bit about some of the stuff you're working on right now. Mm-hmm. Do you mind sharing some of that?
Well, I not in full detail, but what I will say is that what I've been working on is a culmination of, look, I've been shaping and shifting culture for 20 plus years now. I know what I'm talking about. I understand so many different industries. I understand so many different cultures and people and regions around the world. And this one thing that I'm building now is a global cultural disruptor that is not only going to be recognized as one of the most entertaining brands around the world and make a lot of money, but I think it's going to have a massive impact on social good and connecting cultures, building international bridges, uniting people through the business that I'm building now.
Awesome.
And again, that's when it's where it needs to be, and you know more about me, you will say, this is exactly what this dude has been building and has been training for his whole life to build this thing. And it makes total sense.
I appreciate it, man. I'm excited. I know a little bit more detail about what you got going on, and excited for what you bringing that to the world, and it's going to be impactful from a cultural and.
I won't stop until it is, Chris.
I'm excited to see it. Where's the best place for some of the listeners to reach out to you or follow you?
Sure, everything, all socials at Clinton Sparks, podcast on Spotify and Apple, clintonsparks.com. But yeah, I'm usually in my DMs on Instagram if you want to get at me.
And what are some things that you're pursuing right now that we can help with?
I'm full-time focused on as CEO of this new company that I was just kind of telling you about. But yeah, I'm fully engaged in that. And then obviously, just giving out game and helping other people and sharing the things that. One of the things I realized the most that people are benefiting the value from me isn't about the business, isn't about the cool things, isn't about how to make money. That's all easy, and you're able to learn that stuff. You can go to Google, you can listen to you. Yeah. There's a lot of people that can teach you, the path to making money. I think where people get stuck a lot is the path to making a better them, right? And understanding that it's actually them that's in the way of them becoming a better them. Yeah. So I think that's where people have the most efficiency. Is understanding the pain, the trauma, the hurt, and the stuck that they're in because of things they're not recognizing or realizing that is sticking them.
So that actually brings up a great question. So for those that are stuck and they feel stuck in their current situation, whether that's they're not pursuing their dreams, they're not creating the life that they once dreamt of, what advice do you give to those people?
It's not one size fits all, right? Because some people realize, oh, well, I'm my own enemy. I'm causing it because I keep drinking, right? Somebody else is like, everybody else is causing me not to. So it doesn't fit everybody, right? So that answer it's not one size fits all. But I will say the path, as I found it, to becoming better or healing isn't this long journey, this long daunting journey that you now are like, this is going to take forever to build a good life. Right. To me, it's merely a decision that only you can make. Yeah. So it's just decide that I want to build my life by design. I want to be happy. I don't want to think about things from the past. I don't want to blame. I don't want to worry about things that weren't my fault and things that I can't change. Because if you can't change it, what are you sitting there thinking of worrying about it? If I broke my leg when I was 15, I'm not 42 years old, still thinking about my broken leg from when I was 15. Right. Like I moved on. You got to move on because life is, and it's going to move on with or without you.
You heard it here, folks. Guys, make the decision. It doesn't take a long time to turn life around.
It takes the right time, and the right time is now.
I love it. I love it. Clinton, thank you so much.
Thank you
for your time that you spent with us on the show, for making the trip, for just being a part of me or with me here. I know that time is ultimately the most valuable resource we have, and the fact that you shared some with me and our community, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me and seeing the value in me enough to share with your listeners and viewers. But however, Chris, I want to say to you, I'm here because of you, right? It's not because of what I'm trying to do for me. It's not me trying to promote things that I'm doing. I'm here because meeting you, you're an authentic, real dude. And when you asked me to come, I came because of you. I didn't know, to be honest, I didn't know. I know now, but I didn't know the level of your podcast. I didn't know much about you outside of the dope guy that I met when we sat and talked and got to know each other about our families and whatnot. So
appreciate it, my brother. All right. Until next time.